Hey everyone, this is Nadia from Verified Pipeline Authoring, and today I'm reviewing one of the pipeline authoring MRs that adds the pipeline mini graph to the pipeline editor pipeline status section. So currently, when you are in the pipeline editor and you run your pipeline or you come into your pipeline config, you have this area where we show the pipeline status and a button to view pipeline. And this MR adds the mini pipeline graph like so to the section to make it easier for you to navigate between the joblet stages in your running pipeline. So I've already opened up Gitpod, and since we're piloting the new merge request review guidelines, I'm following these guidelines. So I've already actually provided the initial review for this MR, but I'm kind of going through this again to ensure that I don't miss anything because there are some additional steps that I need to take, I think. So the whole domain of this MR is very clear to me. So what's happening here is we're adding the existing mini pipeline graph component to the pipeline editor. So we're not changing the actual mini pipeline graph component in any way. So that makes this MR pretty easy to review, I think. So I need to preview the MR in the GDK. So I'm using Gitpod for this. And I already have this instance running here with the feature flag enabled. I will save you some time by not going through these steps in this recording, but I have the instructions here and I will clarify some things. So first, when you're reviewing a MAR like this, that you need to be able to run pipelines to review the changes, you need to enable a runner. And we have Gitpod instructions, GDK with Gitpod in this repo. So you can follow the instructions here. So first you need to move to the right directory, then you need to enable that your Gitpod is using a port that is set to public. So you do it here in the Remote Explorer. You're able to see which of your ports are public and which are private, and the 3000 port that you're using needs to be set to public, and you do it by clicking on this little icon right here. So we do that, and then you need to just run these commands and perform these steps as laid out here in these instructions to set up your runner. One thing to look out for at step 5, when you need to enter the instance URL for your runner, you will have to go to the admin dashboard, you will have to go to runners, and the instructions tell you that you need to take this URL and copy it and paste it in your terminal. So this is where you would be operating. But for some reason, I think it's a bug, but this URL doesn't match the actual URL of the instance. So you need to take this URL and not this one. Excuse me. So yeah, so you take this URL and then run it in your terminal, and then you can skip the questions from part 6, and you select the executor type, shell, and then you run this command to start your runner. And now your runner will be able to pick up jobs. So once you have the runner, this is only half the work because you also need to enable the feature flag. But that should be easy if your engineer provides the information on how to flip the feature flag, which usually is the case. So you would just use these commands just like you would in normal GDK, basically, to enable the feature flag. Yeah, I think the instructions are the same. So I already have the feature flag enabled, and the pipeline is running and everything. So we're in the pipeline editor and we see the mini pipeline graph, which is great. So it looks and works as it should. I mean, we're not changing anything with the actual pipeline graph. So we just need to see how it works in this layout. So I'm using this design and UI changes checklist. that covers writing, so we don't have any writing here. Patterns, it's not a new pattern, so that makes it easy. Visual design, same thing. We're not changing anything to the mini pipeline graph component, and not to say that everything is perfect with that component, but it's out of scope for this particular MR. What we need to check is the responsive behavior in this layout and the accessibility. So what we're gonna do is just gonna see how this scales. Yeah, so this looks fine to me. It works. And I know that Maria shared a video there that showed a use case for bigger pipeline, and there I noticed there were some small things that we could improve. So when it's in a really small screen size, you see that there's no padding between the mini pipeline graph and the view pipeline button, and it doesn't look very good, and also it makes it easy to click on the wrong thing or not where you intended. So we need to add a bit more distance here to make sure that the distance between the mini pipeline graph and the button is the same as between the mini pipeline graph and the commit link here. So I just added this as a non-blocking comment here for Maria, and this can be addressed as part of this MR, or it can be addressed in the future MR, because this whole feature is now behind the feature flag, so we have some time here to address this small thing. And one more thing that I want to look at is the accessibility of this. So I'll start by trying to tab through this layout, and yeah, generally the tabbing here on this page is weird, so this needs to be addressed. I think it doesn't go everywhere where it needs to go. Yeah, so the problem here is that when I tab away from this button, instead of going to the job, it goes directly to the retry button, and it's not possible for me to actually get into the job. So or okay, or hold on, maybe I can just use enter to do this. No. Yeah, this is not working out for me. Though I'm pretty sure this problem is not with the current MR, but it's a problem with the mini pipeline graph in general. So this is something that I'm gonna raise with the engineer, but it's probably going to be a separate follow-up issue and not within the scope of this MR. But yeah, let me write a comment about it and I'll be back. So another thing that I want to look at here is the labels on the elements in the mini pipeline graph. So I will use accessibility tools for this, and we're gonna inspect the accessibility properties. So it looks like the buttons here don't have area labels. Um, yeah, Yeah, and the whole mini popular graph also doesn't have an easily identifiable name and a label. So this is something that I will also bring up as a non-blocking comment to be addressed in a follow-up. So I ended up writing a comment about it and creating a separate issue to address this. And yeah, let's see if there's anything else that needs to be done here. Okay. So yeah, I think I covered it in my comment with these questions, and we're going to address it in a follow-up. And yeah, I've gone ahead and approved them are as is, given all of my comments are non-blocking, and one of them will be explored further in an issue, and the other one can be completed in the future MAR since the feature is behind the feature flag. So I will now go ahead and remove myself as a reviewer from this MR, and that completes my review. Thank you so much.